Apple's biggest iPhone story of the year may not be a camera upgrade. A new chip or an AI feature it could be something far more dramatic. Apple's first foldable iPhone. And if the latest leak is accurate, Apple isn't just entering the foldable market to catch up, it's aiming to solve the one problem that has haunted almost every folding phone so far: the visible crease running down the middle of the display for years. Foldables have promised the future phones that transform into mini tablets, but that future has always come with a compromise. No matter how expensive the device, no matter how advanced the hinge, most foldable screens still show a crease you can see in bright light and feel under your finger. Some brands have reduced it, some have hidden it better, but almost nobody has truly eliminated it. Now, a fresh supply chain style leak suggests Apple may be working on a new approach, one that changes how the display bends in the first place. According to prolific leaker Digital Chat Station posting on Weibo, Apple's foldable could use a dual-layer UTG/UFG glass structure, along with self-healing glass and a seamless hinge design. The most interesting part of the claim is this: the display layer would sit in the middle of this structure and would not directly contact the hinge. If that sounds like a small engineering detail, it could actually be the entire point. Let's break down why this matters. Most foldable phones today rely on a single main layer of ultra-thin glass, often called UTG or ultra-thin glass. That single layer has a tough job. It must flex thousands and thousands of times without cracking, while also protecting the delicate old panel underneath and resisting scratches, dents, and pressure. The problem is, when one layer is forced to do everything: bend, protect, and stay smooth, the stress has to go somewhere. And that somewhere often becomes the crease. This is where the leaked Apple approach becomes interesting. The rumor suggests a dual-layer solution: UTG plus UFG ultra-thin glass combined with ultra-thin flexible glass instead of one glass layer handling both bending forces and protection. The structure could distribute stress differently. In theory, the hinge would interact with the outer structure, while the actual display layer sits more decoupled in the middle, meaning it doesn't take the full mechanical punishment of every fold. That single concept, the display from the hinge, could be the key to crease control. If the hinge isn't pressing, pulling, or pinching directly against the display layer, the bending radius can be managed more carefully, and the fold can become more gradual instead of sharply concentrated along one line. A smoother bend usually equals a less visible crease, and potentially a longer-lasting screen. Mac rumors also highlighted this point, noting that most folding phones typically use a single UTG layer that must simultaneously handle bending forces and protect the display underneath. A dual-layer setup, if real, would be a major departure and very Apple-like, because Apple often waits until it can introduce a more refined, more durable version of a category before jumping in, of course. Even if Apple pulls off a major crease reduction, it may not be truly crease-free. Some recent reports have suggested that the folding iPhone's display won't be completely without a crease after all. Despite bold predictions floating around, and that's worth saying clearly, physics is physics. Any material that folds repeatedly is likely to show some sign of stress over time. The real question isn't whether Apple can make the crease magically disappear, it's whether Apple can make it so subtle that most users stop noticing it in daily use. The difference between a foldable that feels like a compromise and one that feels like the next standard. Another detail gaining traction is the form factor. Apple's foldable is rumored to be wider than many current foldables when closed. That might sound less pocket-friendly at first, but it brings a huge benefit when opened: a more iPad-like aspect ratio. One of the biggest complaints about many foldables is that when you unfold them, the screen can feel oddly shaped, often to square, sometimes awkward for video, reading, or multitasking. If Apple goes wider, the unfolded display could look and feel more like a mini iPad, making apps, documents, and media consumption more natural. And if Apple is serious about it's almost certainly thinking beyond hardware into how iOS soar, a foldably optimized version of it would actually use that extra space. Now, let's talk about timing. The current expectation is that Apple could unveil its foldable iPhone at its regular fall event in September. that matches Apple's traditional iPhone cycle and would be the biggest headline the event could possibly deliver. However, some reports suggest the device might not actually go on sale, immediately potentially launching later in the year, even as late as December. That also wouldn't be shocking. A first-generation foldable would be one of the most complex iPhones Apple has ever built. If yields are difficult, if new display layers are hard to manufacture, or if hinge production is tight, Apple could announce early and ship later, especially if it wants to avoid a rushed release with durability issues. So what does this leak really tell us? If accurate, it suggests Apple is attacking the foldable problem at the structural level, thinking how the layers work together, not just polishing a standard hinge, a dual-layer UTG-UFG system paired with a seamless hinge and self-healing glass. Reads like a company trying to make a foldable that feels less experimental and more finished. And that's the moment foldables have been waiting for. Not the first phone that folds, but the first one that makes folding feel normal. Now, we wait to see if this leak turns into a real product, and whether Apple's solution can finally make the crease fade into the background where it belongs.